Have you ever heard an argument in favor of feminism that made you scratch your head in confusion? In the next 10 minutes, we're going to explore 5 such arguments that, while well-intentioned, often miss the mark. These arguments, though commonly used, are easily debunked with a little bit of critical thinking. We're talking about everything from the belief that feminism is just about women's rights to the idea that feminists want to dominate men. Stick around if you're ready to dive into some deep intellectual discourse. One of the most common arguments you'll hear is that feminism is all about women's rights. This perspective, while not entirely incorrect, is a bit of an oversimplification. Let's delve into the origins of this argument. The birth of feminism can be traced back to the late 19th and early 20th century, during a time when women were fighting for their basic rights like the right to vote. This historical context might explain why some people associate feminism solely with women's rights. However, over time, the goals and objectives of feminism have evolved and broadened. Feminism, in its true essence, is not just about women's rights. It's about achieving equality for all genders. It advocates for the rights of every person, regardless of their gender, to have equal opportunities and to be free from discrimination. Consider this. As per a study conducted by the World Economic Forum in 2023, it would take another 207 years to achieve gender parity at our current pace. Now, that's not just a women's issue, that's a human issue. The fight for equality is a collective responsibility, one that transcends gender. Moreover, feminism also addresses issues like toxic masculinity and the societal pressures that men face due to predefined gender roles. These issues affect men just as much as they affect women. Feminism also advocates for the rights of transgender individuals, non-binary people, and anyone else who falls within the spectrum of gender identity. It strives for a world where everyone, regardless of their gender identity, is treated fairly and equally. So, to say that feminism is just about women's rights is to undermine the inclusivity and the broad perspective that feminism truly embodies. It's not just about uplifting one gender. It's about breaking down the barriers of gender discrimination and creating a world where everyone is treated equally, regardless of their gender. So, as you can see, feminism isn't just about women, it's about everyone. Another argument you might have heard is that feminists hate men. This claim has been circulating for quite some time, but it's crucial to understand that it stems from a misunderstanding of what feminism truly is. Feminism, in its purest form, is not about hating men. It's about dismantling patriarchal systems that have historically disadvantaged women. It's about equality, fairness, and justice. It's about acknowledging that women, just like men, have the right to live free from discrimination and violence. The seeds of this argument, feminists hate men, were likely sown in response to the anger and frustration that many feminists express. However, it's essential to differentiate between anger at an oppressive system and hatred towards individuals. Feminists are not angry at men as a group, but rather at a society that has perpetuated harmful gender norms and inequalities. In fact, many feminists argue that patriarchy harms men too. It imposes rigid masculinity standards that can be detrimental to men's mental health and relationships. By challenging these norms, feminism also paves the way for men to live fuller, more authentic lives. So, where does the feminists hate men argument fall apart? It's in the conflation of anger with hatred and the misunderstanding of what that anger is directed towards. It's in the failure to recognize that feminism is a movement for equality, not a war against men. Remember, it's okay for feminists to be angry, but this anger is a call to action, a demand for change. It's not a blanket condemnation of all men. Many men are allies in the fight for gender equality, and their support is invaluable. In short, feminism isn't about hating anyone, it's about challenging and changing systems of oppression. It's about creating a world where everyone, regardless of gender, has the opportunity to thrive. So, remember, hating men isn't feminism, it's misandry. And there's a world of difference between the two. It's time we set the record straight and debunk this misguided argument for good. Some people argue that feminism is unnecessary in the modern world. This notion is quite popular, particularly among those who believe that the strides made in the past century towards gender equality have rendered feminism obsolete. They often point to legislation that enforces equal rights and opportunities for women, the increasing number of women in leadership roles, and the growing acceptance of women in fields traditionally dominated by men as proof. However, this argument overlooks the persistent disparities that still exist between genders. Let's start with the wage gap. Despite legislation, on average, women globally still earn only 77% of what men earn. This isn't just a number. It's a reflection of the undervaluation of women's work and the systemic barriers they face in accessing the same economic opportunities as men. When it comes to leadership, yes, we are seeing more women in power, but we're far from achieving parity. Less than a quarter of all national parliamentarians are women. In the corporate world, only 7% of Fortune 500 CEOs are women. These are not just statistics. They signal the systemic biases that still hinder women's rise to positions of power. In terms of gender-based violence, it's a stark reality that 1 in 3 women worldwide has experienced physical or sexual violence at least once in their lifetime. This isn't just a statistic. It's a horrifying reality that speaks to the deep-seated sexism and misogyny that persist in societies globally. The argument that feminism is unnecessary in the modern world assumes that gender equality has been achieved. But the facts paint a different picture. They show us that while we've made progress, we still have a long way to go, and this journey requires the continued effort of feminism. So, despite some advancements, the fight for gender equality is far from over. Feminism, therefore, remains a necessary force in our modern world, advocating for equal rights and opportunities, challenging systemic biases, and raising awareness about the persisting issues that women face. It's about creating a world where every individual, regardless of their gender, has the freedom to realize their full potential. You might have heard that feminism is only for women. This is a common misconception, but let's take a moment to debunk that. This argument is prevalent because the word feminism itself is derived from feminine, leading some to believe that its benefits are exclusive to women. But here's the thing, feminism is about equality, not exclusivity. It's about creating a level playing field for everyone, regardless of their gender. To understand this, let's look at the core principles of feminism: equality, freedom, and respect. These are not gender-specific values, they're human rights. So when feminism fights for these principles, it's not just fighting for women, it's fighting for everyone. Take the issue of gender roles, for instance. Yes, feminism challenges the traditional roles that limit women, but it also challenges the roles that confine men. It questions why men should always be the breadwinners, why they should suppress their emotions, why they should bear the burden of being strong all the time. By challenging these stereotypes, feminism liberates not just women, but men too. And let's not forget about non-binary and transgender individuals. They often face discrimination and exclusion, partly due to the rigid gender norms that feminism seeks to dismantle. When feminism advocates for the recognition and respect of all gender identities, it's advocating for these individuals as well. Even in the realm of policy, the ripple effect of feminism can be seen. Policies advocating for equal pay, parental leave, and against gender-based violence benefit everyone, not just women. They create a fairer, more equitable society where everyone's rights are respected. This is not to say that feminism doesn't focus on women's issues. It does, and it should, given the historical and ongoing gender disparities. But the ultimate goal of feminism is to eliminate these disparities, to create an equal world for everyone. So, remember, feminism isn't just for women, it's for everyone. It's about breaking down barriers, challenging stereotypes, and creating a world where your gender doesn't determine your opportunities or your worth. Last but not least, some people argue that feminists want to dominate men. Now, isn't that a thought-provoking statement? It's an argument that's been thrown around quite a bit, often fueled by misunderstandings or misconceptions about what feminism truly stands for. So let's break it down. The aim of feminism is not to dominate, but to advocate for equality. It's about leveling the playing field, ensuring everyone, regardless of gender, is treated fairly and has equal opportunities. It's about breaking down harmful stereotypes and societal norms that limit both men and women. The belief that feminists want to dominate men often stems from the fear of power dynamics shifting. However, this isn't about one gender gaining power over the other. It's about sharing power equally. It's about understanding that when one group rises, we all rise. So, as you can see, feminism isn't about dominating anyone. It's about equality. Now that we've debunked these 5 arguments, you should have a better understanding of what feminism really is. It's not about hating men, dominating the world, or being unnecessary in modern times. Nor is it exclusively for women or just about women's rights. It's about equality and respect for all genders. These misconceptions can cloud our understanding and conversations about feminism. Please remember to subscribe, like, comment, and share this video if you found it insightful. Until next time, keep questioning, keep learning,